말이 없어요. Hello, 안녕하세요. I'm Shandor H. Welcome to Cinemarea, where we only talk about South Korean movies and dramas. I've wanted to watch today's movie for a while now, but couldn't find it anywhere. Until last night. Let's talk about the 2019 historical drama movie, A Resistance or Hanga, 유관순이야기. The story of Yukwon-sun. The movie stars Koa Sung. She played the little girl in The Host. What a movie that is. I really should talk about it, shouldn't I? She also played Song Kang-ho's daughter in Snowpiercer. She had a small role in the movie Right Now, Wrong Then, which is... I love that movie. She has a great taste for movies, that's what I want to say. And Kim Sae-byuk, who had a smaller role in House of Hummingbird, which is another movie that I love. The year is 1919, the beginning of the Japanese occupation of Korea. Peaceful protesters are out on the street doing absolutely nothing wrong. Yet a lot of them get shot to death, the rest of them are taken to prison. Among them, a young girl, Yukwon-sun, played by Koa Sung. She has a fighter spirit. She's not the type to give up, so her time in prison is extremely hard. Where will that lead to? I was in awe of this movie. Sometimes when you finally get to watch a movie you wanted to see, you get disappointed. That's a horrible feeling. But The Resistance exceeded all my expectations. This movie is a painfully realistic look into the lives of these prisoners, what they had to go through, how they suffer for nothing, but it also shows how strong human beings can be and how much we are able to endure. Up to a certain point, of course. Sometimes you know that a movie is gonna be good just by seeing the first shot. Such was the case here. It was nothing special, it was just a car driving into the prison. But the way it was filmed, that's what made the difference. Almost the whole movie is black and white, with the exception of some flashback scenes, and it's so appropriate. The conditions these poor women, and men for that matter, are living in are absolutely inhuman. And the movie being black and white just added another layer of grit and rawness to the whole thing. A lot of handheld cam is used, but it's never shaky, it's just there to make you feel slightly uncomfortable. In fact, this whole movie is uncomfortable if you have at least the slightest bit of empathy. And the cinematography reflected this perfectly. It's a very well shot film. It's very stylish despite it not being flashy. There's nothing flashy about The Resistance. It's dark and gritty and tragic, but in a weird way, truly beautiful. Koa Sung's performance I thought was absolutely magnificent. What her character has to endure in this movie is just... there are no words for that, really. She's a very strong-willed person. She cares deeply about her nation, so much so that even the prison guards consider her dangerous. So they do everything to break her physically and mentally. Sometimes it's very hard to watch, even though the movie cuts away from the truly gruesome moments. But she just grits her teeth and endures everything. Koa Sung's character was based on an actual person by the name of Yukwon-sun, and I don't want to talk about her life because that would be a spoiler. But nowadays she's very highly regarded in Korea, and for good reason. She stood up for what she believed in, even though people did everything around her to stop her. And that's truly inspirational. That's another great thing about this movie. No matter how sad and devastating it is, it's actually truly inspirational. And the message that I get from this movie is that you have to stand by your own beliefs. Actually, belief is not a good word, more like morals. So you have to stand by your morals, what you think is right, because most likely there won't be anyone else to do it. In a way, it's really hard to talk about this movie because story-wise it's so simple. Almost the whole movie takes place in the prison. By the time the story starts, the rebellion had already happened. So it's really just a snapshot of what happened to these prisoners. But it's so well done and it's so well presented. At first, it's a shock. Koa Sung gets thrown into a cell that is smaller than my room. And trust me, my room is small. And there are like 20 more women in there. No toilets, no anything. I would imagine that in real life they all had to relieve themselves right then and there. Can you imagine that? And they're barefoot. And then they start to go around in circles, because if they don't, their feet start to hurt. The movie is so heavy right from the get-go, it's like tons of weight weighing on your shoulders. And honestly, I was very silent during this film. I almost felt bad for loving it so much, seeing all the suffering on the screen. But you know, there are some truly beautiful moments here as well. Those women in that small cell, they're probably better than 99.99% of humanity. Somehow they're able to find a way to get along with each other despite these horrible circumstances, and I was just in awe of that. And again, it's so well presented. The movie just grabs you, chews you up and spits you out, but you like it. I have very few problems with this film. One is that because it's black and white and it takes place in a prison, sometimes I had some serious Schindler's List vibes. The similarities are purely aesthetic, the story is very different, it's much more contained. But look-wise, yeah, Schindler's List, definitely. And around mid-time there are a good 10 minutes where I lost my interest a little bit. There's some downtime there, but it didn't really work for me. Other than that, I loved everything else. A Resistance is not for the faint-hearted. It's painful, tragic, devastating, but it's also hopeful in a weird way. Koa Sung is absolutely brilliant here. It's very well filmed, very well directed, overall very well acted. I'm gonna give A Resistance 93%. This is heavy. Be careful with this one. But it's great. 여러분, 오늘은 여기까지만 해요. 영상 봐주셔서 감사합니다. 이 영상 좋아하면 구독해주세요. See you very soon. 다음 시간에 만나요, 여러분. 안녕히 계세요. Bye!